Hello and welcome to this episode of SPSS one-on-one series with the word analytics. Today we look at longitudinal data analysis in SPSS. But what is longitudinal data? Longitudinal data simply refers to data collected from the same subjects over time. You have repeated measurements about the same individuals over an extended period of time. So longitudinal data analysis helps us in separating change over time within the individuals, what is referred to as the age effect, and the differences among people in their baseline values, their starting values, the cohort effect. So to better understand longitudinal data and longitudinal data analysis, let us look at the basic structure of longitudinal data. In this data set, you're tracking blood pressure readings for patients over a period of 3 months. And for each patient here, you have got 3 different measurements. You have measurements at baseline or 0 months, then at 1 month and at 2 months. So you have got 3 repeated measurements for each individual, and you have other variables that you want to assess whether they influence this outcome. By having these repeated measurements, you would think of why not use repeated measures ANOVA. Yes, repeated measures ANOVA can work, but remember it also has some limitations. For example, if you are to use repeated measures ANOVA, you need your design to be simple. Just using the word simple, not to complicate things, but if you have designs like pre and post tests where you just have a few measurements you're making, it would work. And ANOVA requires your data to be complete. Where you have missing values, it will exclude those people from the analysis, likely biasing your results. And you need to have equal time intervals, the way we have them here. But in real life data, most of the time, data is unbalanced. So you will need to use longitudinal data analysis in such scenarios where you are expecting missing data, unequal intervals, or you want to model individual changes over time. I've just put this simply, but there is more to that. Don't want to go into it because it is outside the scope of this tutorial. Back to our structure of longitudinal data. This same data set can be presented in another way. Instead of having our outcome at different time points as individual variables, we can have all these 3 measurements into one variable called blood pressure, where each row now represents one observation per patient per time point. So the first type of data presentation is what we are calling the wide data, whereas the other second format is the long format of data. For you to analyze longitudinal data in SPSS, you need your data to be in the long format. We have got such data that we are going to use in this demonstration. The link is in the description of this video. You can download it for your practice. In this data set, we have got ID, and for each, you can see that we have got 3 IDs, meaning this one participant has got 3 different measurements for the outcome called blood pressure, and then the different time points at which they were measured. Additionally, these people are receiving one of the 2 treatments, either a placebo or a new treatment. So we want to see whether this treatment is really having an effect on our outcome, which is blood pressure. So for us to run a longitudinal data analysis in SPSS, simply go to Analyze, Generalized Linear Models, and then Generalized Estimating Equations. So there are several tabs here. We are going to look at each of them. Under Subject Variables, we specify that variable that uniquely identifies each individual. Whereas we have one repeated 3 times, but this is one person. That is the variable that is identifying the subjects. Put it there. Then within subject variables, what variable shows the points at which the outcome has been repeatedly measured? So this is the time variable. We're going to put it there. And under the correlation matrix, the working correlation matrix, we are going to use the unstructured one, provided the robust estimator is selected here. Whatever you choose here may not have a big effect. Type of model, based on your outcome variable. Here, our outcome is a continuous variable, so we shall go with the linear link. But if it was ordinal or binary outcome or a count, you would choose appropriate. Then under responses, this is where we specify our outcome variable, which is blood pressure. Then we go to predictors. For the predictors, we are first considering time as a categorical variable. So we are going to push all of them in the factors box. Then later on, we are going to look at scenarios where time is a continuous variable and should be put under covariates. We have to change under options. We choose the reference category. Here it is by default ascending, but we want it to be descending so that the very first category is the reference category. So click continue, and then under model, we are going to put both variables as main effects into our model, but also we want to see the interaction effect of these, of time with treatment. So we shall select interaction and then push it there. With that, we can now click OK, and we look at our output. So in this output, we have the model information showing you the outcome, the distribution that you've used, the link function, and how you've set up each of these, including the correlation matrix structure. Then case processing summary showing you 1290 have been included, none has been excluded. In the correlated data summary, whereas at first we saw 1290, here the actual sample size is 430. In the first case, each repeated measurement is being considered as a participant. So if you get 430 times 3, that's what we get, 1290. Categorical variable information is here, the categorizations, and then descriptives for the continuous variable. Then we have here test of model effects, which shows you which of these variables are statistically significant. We can see that time and interaction between treatment and time were statistically significant, whereas treatment had no statistical significance as far as the changes in the outcome is concerned. So it means we can go ahead and interpret these parameter estimates. For us to interpret this output well, we need to first understand the different hypotheses being tested when you're running a longitudinal data analysis in SPSS. So we have got three main hypotheses that are tested in this analysis. And one relates to group, another one to the time, and the interaction between this group and time. For group, we are hypothesizing that the groups are not different at baseline, or there is no group effect or no cohort effect. Whereas for time, the hypothesis is that the outcome does not change over time. Time has no effect on our outcome. And then, lastly, the interaction is hypothesizing that there is no group-time interaction. In other words, the exposure variable does not alter the way the outcome changes over time, or it does not alter the pattern of the mean response over time. So these are the three hypotheses that we are testing that we need to be aware. So when you look at our output, we have the hypothesis of time, We have the hypothesis of group, which is our treatment in this case, and we have the hypothesis of the interaction between our group variable and our time. We saw that time is statistically significant. Even here you can see it is statistically significant. For treatment, non-significant. When you look at treatment here, non-significant. But for the interactions, they were statistically significant. Meaning our exposure variable, our treatment, influences the way our outcome changes over time. We can also look at some detailed way of interpreting this. Remember, we said we are treating time as a categorical variable. In this case, we have our intercept for our model, which shows what would be the blood pressure of subjects in treatment 1, or our reference category for the treatment at a time 0. We also have, we can interpret the coefficients for time, for the hypothesis regarding time. Remember, when we said time is categorical, one of the categories is being used as the reference. And when we selected descending, when we're setting up the analysis in SPSS, this is what we wanted. If we had left it in ascending, then this would have been the reference category, which may not make a lot of sense. So here we can see that this coefficient, you're comparing, first of all, this group to the baseline. That coefficient shows the change in blood pressure for subjects in treatment 1 when they move from time 0 to time 1, and it is a negative. Then we also have for treatment with a similar concept, 1 is being made the reference, so we are interpreting this compared to this. So this is the coefficient that shows additional blood pressure for subjects in treatment 2 compared to treatment 1 at time 0. Lastly, we can look at the interpretation for the interaction terms. You can see that our treatment 1 is the reference, and also our time 0 is the reference. So all these are considered redundant, and so we only interpret the other ones. So here we can see that the coefficient for program time interaction, this one here, is the additional blood pressure change for subjects in treatment 2 compared to treatment 1. Here we have a 2, so we are comparing it to treatment 1 as they move from time 0 to time 1. You can see time equals 1 as they move from time 0 to time 1. That is due to the interaction of treatment with time. So that's how you would use generalized estimating equations to run a longitudinal data analysis in SPSS, considering time as a categorical variable when you have grouped your time. However, there are scenarios where time is better handled as a continuous variable. For example, you have unbalanced data and you have got measurements of participants at very many different time points that are not even uniform. So you'd like just to consider time as a continuous variable. And to do that, you would still go through analyze, generalized linear model, and generalized estimating equations. All of the settings are going to remain the same and are repeated, even type of model, since our outcome is the same, response. But under predictors, instead of considering time as a factor, we are going to consider time as a covariate. And then we leave all the others because the model is already set, and then we click OK. So here you can see that our table is now shorter than our previous table. We now have time as one single variable. Then we have treatment is the one having a reference group. Then we have interaction between the two groups of treatment, but we do not have the ones as we had previously if we considered time categorical. We had 3 different categories of time, and we had a longer interaction time list. Even when you look at the categorical variable information, previously time was there, but now categorical variable information, we only have treatment. And so how would you interpret that? So in that case, where time you're considering it to be continuous, then it means your intercept is still the blood pressure of subjects in treatment 1, which is the reference group for treatment at time 0, or at the start of the study. Then where you have now time as continuous, we are saying this is the change in blood pressure for every unit increase in time for subjects in treatment 1. Whereas if we go to a categorical variable like treatment, we have a reference group. So this would be the additional blood pressure for subjects in treatment 2 compared to treatment 1 at time 0. Then when it comes to the interaction term, this is the change for subjects in treatment 2 compared to treatment 1 for every unit change in time that is due to interaction between our variable, our treatment, with the time. So that's how to run longitudinal data analysis, and the difference between longitudinal data analysis and then repeated measures analysis. Then how do you run your model when you have categorized time or continuous time, then interpreting the coefficients. So next we are going to look at how do we run longitudinal data analysis when our outcome is binary. We have repeated measurements, but of a binary or a categorical outcome. So if you find this video useful, consider liking and subscribing to the channel. I'll be very grateful. If you have any questions for me, put them in the comment section. So I'll be glad to help. See you in the next episode.